A little girl clutched a faded photo to her chest, her tiny hands trembling. In it, she sat grinning on the back of a roaring Harley, her arms wrapped around a bearded biker. He wasn't your real granddad, people told her. But this picture would prove otherwise. In the quiet town of Maple Creek, 9-year-old Leah Brooks grew up hearing whispers. Her mother, Jess, worked long hours at the local diner, and Leah often stayed with her step-grandfather, Hank Ryder. Hank wasn't blood. He had married Jess's late mother years before. But to Leah, he was everything. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a weathered face and a leather vest hanging in the hallway. Hank was a man the town looked at sideways. Biker trash, some muttered. But Leah never cared. To her, he was the one who packed her school lunches, told stories by the fire, and patched her bike tires when they went flat. Then came the night Hank passed unexpectedly in his sleep. The funeral was small, whispers heavy. Leah overheard kids at school sneering. He wasn't even your real granddad. The words stabbed deeper than she could explain. After Hank's passing, Leah spent evenings in silence. He loved you, Leah. That's what matters, Jess said gently. Still, Leah carried the echo of cruel words at school. Not your real granddad. One Saturday, rummaging through an old trunk in the attic, she found a worn leather vest and a single photograph tucked in the lining. In it, she was 4 years old, perched on the back of Hank's Harley, her tiny arms wrapped around him, his wide grin softening his rugged face. Her heart leapt. Proof. But Jess frowned. Where did you find this? I've never seen it before. A mystery had just begun. The next morning, she carried it to school. But the sneers grew sharper. Anyone can fake a picture, one boy taunted. Leah ran home. Collapsing on her bed, the photo clutched tight. She needed more than comfort. She needed the truth, that someone was Jax Monroe, a Hell's Angel from Hank's old riding crew. When news of Hank's death reached him, Jax rode into Maple Creek quietly. Late at night at the cemetery, he saw a small figure approach. Leah, clutching her photo, tears streaking her face, whispering, "I miss you, Granddad." Jax's chest tightened. He had snapped that picture himself. He stepped forward. "That photo's real, little one. I took it." Leah looked up, startled. And in that instant, her world shifted. Jax knelt down. "Your granddad bragged about you every ride we went on. Blood don't make family. Loyalty does. And Hank, he was loyal to you." Leah held out the photo. "You took this?" Jax nodded. Clear as day. He loved that picture. Jax stood and placed a rough hand on her shoulder. "You want to know your granddad's truth? Come see where he rode. Come meet the men who called him brother." The next weekend, Leah sat behind Jax on the Harley. The engine roared, rattling her bones, but fear melted into exhilaration. They thundered down back roads Hank once rode. For the first time since Hank's passing, she felt alive. They arrived at an old clubhouse. Bikers greeted Jax with firm handshakes. "This is Hank Ryder's girl," Jax introduced. One man, Crusher, crouched to her level. "He never stopped talking about you, kid. Always carried your drawings in his saddlebags." He pulled a crumpled paper from his vest, one she'd made years ago. She gasped. He kept it. Every mile. That evening, the bikers sat around a fire pit. Stories poured out, tales of Hank's stubborn loyalty, his booming laugh. Jax leaned close. "He wasn't just your granddad at home, Leah. He was your granddad everywhere. Don't let anyone tell you different." "Then why did everyone say he wasn't real family?" Jax's eyes hardened. "Because people fear what they don't understand. But blood don't make kin. Love does." The next week at school, the taunts came again. But this time, Leah didn't flinch. She pulled the drawing from her backpack and held it high. "He rode with this every mile. Tell me he wasn't family." The classroom fell silent. Jax handed her a worn patch from Hank's old vest. "He wanted you to have this." She realized she didn't need to prove anything anymore. Her granddad's love was stitched into leather, carried in drawings, and etched in the roar of engines. One Saturday, Jax surprised Leah and Jess with a ride to Maple Creek Park. Dozens of bikers lined the lot. A banner read, "Ride for Hank Ryder." Leah was lifted onto the back of Jax's bike. Jax handed her a framed print of the photo he had taken years ago, paired with a new one side by side. "Now you've got proof." For the first time, she felt whole. At school, her teacher asked the class to bring in something that represented their family. Leah stood at the front holding the framed photos. "This is my granddad, Hank. People told me he wasn't real family. But love is real. He rode with me. He carried my drawings, and he never let me go. The room fell silent. Summer came, and with it, another ride. The convoy rumbled down Main Street, townsfolk lining the sidewalks. Leia pulled out Hank's patch. I'm keeping him with me always. The men chanted, after always, forever, forever, always. One evening, Leia overheard adults whispering cruelly. The words stung. Jax pulled out his phone and showed her a video. Hank, holding her as a toddler on the Harley. His voice was steady. This one's my granddaughter. She's my whole world. Leia sobbed. At last, there was no doubt left. Autumn arrived. Jax handed Leia a small leather vest with a patch on the back, Ryder's legacy. She wasn't pretending anymore. She was carrying Hank's name forward. Winter came. Jax arrived carrying a weathered box. Inside was Hank's journal. Page after page spoke of rides, but woven into the stories were notes about her. Leia laughed today. Best sound on earth. Each word proof that she had been his world. By spring, a biker magazine published Hank's photo beside hers. The headline, Family Written in Loyalty. Letters arrived from across the country. Other kids who had lost step-parents but knew love was real. That on a warm evening nearly a year after Hank's passing, Leia sat on the porch with Jess and Jax. She held the framed photos and smiled. They can say what they want, but he'll always be my granddad. Jax's voice rumbled softly. And now the whole world knows it, too. Leia lifted the photo toward the horizon, whispering, I'll carry you forever. The engines grew louder, rolling like thunder across the night. And in that sound, she heard him. Hank, her granddad, not gone, but riding on. Love is stronger than blood.